The system declared my mission a failure. It ordered me to end my own life. I began trying every method I could think of to kill myself and leave this world. But the very people who had once loathed and rejected me, upon seeing my repeated suicide attempts, had a sudden change of heart, desperately begging me to stay. After a car crash, I was reborn into the mission world. The system assigned me 4 female targets. It told me that if I could successfully win over just one of them, I would be resurrected in my original world. Yet, after 25 fleeting years, I had somehow failed to win over a single one of them. Perhaps this was just my fate. God wasn't willing to give me a second chance at life. I turned away in despair and walked onto the overpass into the ceaseless stream of traffic. The system's command echoed in my ears on a constant loop. Mission failed. Please terminate yourself, host. Cars sped past me, and my mind flashed with images from all those years of the women's cold, hateful faces. Their hearts, without exception, had been captured by Leo Vance. All because he was the protagonist of this world, a man who shone with a dazzling light. The system once tried to console me, saying it was a fundamental law that the main character's pull on the female leads was irresistible. I looked up at the blue sky, a storm of emotions churning inside me. Was I really destined to never win true love simply because I was a side character in this world? I smiled bitterly since the ending was already written. What was the point of struggling? I closed my eyes and stepped resolutely into the flow of cars. Just then, a piercing screech of brakes tore through the air, followed by an angry shout. Ethan, if you're going to die, don't do it here and get in everyone's way. I opened my eyes to see the furious face of my sister, Julia Miller. Julia was one of the targets assigned by the system. It had told me that if I could max out her familiar affection stat, the mission would be considered a success. She was the very first target I tried to win over. But fate is a cruel thing. She too was eventually captivated by Leo Vance's charm, and because of a single lie he told, she came to hate my very guts. She roughly dragged me in her car, sped to the riverbank, shoved me out, and slapped me hard across the face. If you want to die, find somewhere deserted. Don't drag innocent people into it. I even picked out this nice spot for you, so hurry up and jump. Her voice was dripping with disgust and impatience. I was so dizzy, I could barely stay on my feet. In the past, I had attempted suicide in front of her many times just to earn a shred of her pity, a moment of her attention, but I had never truly wanted to die. Now, she thought I was just pulling the same old stunt, convinced I wouldn't actually go through with it. Julia, why are you here? I managed to steady myself, my voice laced with a bitterness I couldn't hide. Aren't you supposed to be at Leo Vance's wedding? Did you come looking for me? I looked up at her, a faint flicker of hope still alive in my heart, wishing she would be different this time, hoping she would show just a tiny bit of reluctance to lose me. But her next words mercilessly shattered my illusion. In your dreams, you think you're worthy of that? I was on my way to pick up Leo's suit for the reception. Who knew I'd run into a jinx like you? I'm warning you, Ethan. Don't even think about using these tricks to get my sympathy. I looked at her determined expression and gave a bitter internal smile. I had actually thought she'd follow me because she was worried. I was wrong. I should have known all along. My sister is deeply in love with Leo Vance, his most devoted follower, but his heart belongs to Isabella Rossi. That's why she's willing to watch him marry another woman, even running errands for his wedding. Such devotion was truly pathetic. I had nothing left to say, so I just turned and walked step by step toward the river's edge. Julia probably thought I was just trying to scare her, so she stood on the bank and sneered, "Go on, walk faster. Stop dragging your feet. If you want to die, then get on with it. Don't make me late to pick up the suit." I quickened my pace, letting the river gradually swallow my body until I was completely submerged. The icy water flooded my mouth and nose, and I felt myself suffocating. Maybe finally I could be free, but in that instant, a powerful force yanked me upward with a sharp crack. Julia slapped me again. "You son of you actually dare to do it. Ethan, who gave you the nerve?" She cursed at me while dragging me back to the shore. "Let me tell you something. Mom and Dad gave you your life. You don't have the right to just throw it away." My mother is the best person to me in this entire world, and I couldn't bear to leave her. I had already held on for 25 long years, but now I was just so tired. I just wanted to leave. After this failed attempt, I had no choice but to make an excuse and head home for the time being. She yelled after me, "So what if Isabella Rossi got married? Is it really worth all this? If you truly love someone, you should want them to be happy with the person they really love. That's what real love is." I was never in despair over Isabella Rossi. I only got close to her because I was trying to survive. I found a deserted city park. I bought an extremely sturdy rope. I had to do it outside. After all, my mother was at home, and I was afraid she'd be terrified if she saw me like that. I tied the rope securely to a thick branch, stepped onto a rock I had placed, and prepared to end everything. Staring at the rope that was about to end my life, I let out a bitter laugh. I had spent 25 years in this world. It didn't feel long. It was like the blink of an eye, but it wasn't short either. So much had happened. At first, Julia didn't like having a younger brother. She was afraid my arrival would divide our parents' affection for her. I faced so many obstacles trying to get close to her, but I was convinced that if I was sincere, she would eventually accept me. When we were kids, I'd skip lunch to save my allowance just to buy her gifts she wanted. Whenever she got into trouble, I would step up and take the blame without a second thought. When she fell ill late one night, I was the one who ran out in the pouring rain to find a doctor and medicine, staying by her side all night. That expensive handbag she desperately wanted, I spent my entire summer working a part-time job just to buy it for her. Slowly, I felt her attitude toward me begin to soften. The scales of sisterly affection seemed to be tipping in my favor. But just when I thought I was on the verge of success, Leo Vance showed up. He effortlessly destroyed the relationship I had spent years building. Whatever, I'll just treat these last 25 years as nothing more than a dream. I stepped onto the rock and slipped the noose around my neck. The feeling of suffocation and the raw scraping pain on my neck quickly consumed me. I couldn't stop myself from struggling, but I tried to stay quiet so I wouldn't alarm anyone. Oh, right. I even left a note, hoping it would lessen the shock for whoever found me. It said, "Don't be afraid. I'm the brightest star in the night sky now." My consciousness began to fade, and memories of the past flashed before my eyes like a movie reel. No matter how hard I tried, Leo Vance could always take everything from me with ease. Everyone seemed to adore him, while they all just detested me. Just as I felt myself about to die, a pair of arms suddenly wrapped around me, holding me tight. I greedily gasped for the air that filled my lungs again. "Ethan, have you lost your mind?" Standing before me was Dr. Evelyn Reed, my former psychiatrist, who was 5 years older than me. She was also one of my former targets. After I was diagnosed with depression, I had started to get better under her care. Back then, the system had prompted me to try and win her over. So, I invested a huge amount of time and energy into being with her. We had dinners together, went to art galleries, and visited amusement parks. She even took me to her family's old estate in the countryside, telling me I was the first man she had ever brought there. Her affection for me grew each day, and I thought this time I was finally going to succeed. But then Leo Vance appeared again. He cried to Evelyn right in front of me, "Dr. Reed, Ethan hired people to assault me. I can't go to the police. I have nightmares every single night. I honestly just want to die." And just like that, Evelyn took his side without a moment's hesitation, pushing me away. She held Leo Vance in a comforting embrace. "Don't be afraid," she said. "I'm here for you." That day, her eyes were bloodshot. She screamed at me to get out. She said my depression was just an act to get her sympathy. She said I disgusted her. And just like that, another one of my efforts turned to dust. It was almost laughable. 2 suicide attempts in one day, and both times I was found by one of the women I had tried so desperately to win over. Is the world really this small? Shouldn't you be at Leo Vance's wedding right now? My voice was devoid of any emotion as I stared at her with empty eyes. She had such a gentle face and a soft voice. She always treated people with so much kindness and care. That was why she was the one who had led me out of my depression. And yet, she was also the one who personally shoved me into an even deeper abyss of despair. "I'm in a bad mood. Can't I come out for some fresh air? She frowned, her face etched with impatience. That's right. She was also in love with Leo Vance. She had even given up a chance to study abroad for him. With Leo getting married today, of course, she wouldn't be in a good mood. But you, what are you doing trying to kill yourself here? Or did you deliberately pick this spot, hoping I'd find you and feel sorry for you? Ethan, can you please stop faking your depression in front of me? Try a different act for a change. I listened to her words, my heart completely still. I had heard words like these so many times before. She always accused me of faking my depression, but the pain was excruciatingly real. She's a doctor. For God's sake, why couldn't she see that my depression was real? Does not being loved mean that everything I do, my very existence, is a mistake? I said nothing and got up to leave, already planning my next suicide method in my head. Maybe it was because she had never seen me so utterly broken. But Evelyn seemed to sense something was truly wrong. She grabbed my arm and pulled me back to her apartment. Then she called Julia and told her to come get me. Julia rushed over with Isabella Rossi and Leo Vance trailing behind her. When Leo Vance saw me, a flicker of terror crossed his eyes, and he instinctively hid behind Isabella. Isabella stared at me coldly. Ethan, do you really have to put on such a show just to make us feel sorry for you? Today is my wedding to Leo. Did you have to come and ruin it? Haven't you heard him enough already? Every single one of them was convinced I had some ulterior motive and that I was trying to hurt Leo. I slowly lifted my head and scanned the face of every person in the room. Their faces showed nothing but bone-chilling indifference and a profound disgust for me. I let out a small laugh. What if I told you it was Leo who hurt me? He was the one who hired people to assault me. The color drained from Leo's face instantly. A flicker of surprise passed through the other's eyes as well. I didn't. Ethan, why are you framing me? You were the one who ruined me. Leo's voice trembled, tears welling in his eyes as he tried to win their sympathy with his usual victim act. They always fell for it. That's enough, Ethan, Julia snapped. You're the one in the wrong, and you're still spouting lies. Apologize to Leo right now, Evelyn added angrily. Ethan, I suggest you apologize to Leo immediately. As for Isabella, she didn't even bother to look at me. Her entire focus was on comforting Leo. Maybe Leo really did have some kind of magic, some protagonist halo, because no matter what he said, they believed him without question. His words were always treated as truth, while mine, even when they were the truth, were dismissed as lies. He was always the innocent one, and I was always the villain, looking at them, spewing venom at me with such utter disgust. My entire 25-year life felt like a complete joke. I had tortured myself countless times for this worthless life, and now I was just exhausted. Death really might be a release. I tried to break free from their grip, but they held me fast. What are you planning now? Another trick to frame Leo? Julia glared at me. Let me tell you, you're staying right here. Evelyn and I will take turns watching you. Don't even think about hurting Leo again. And so, I was imprisoned there with Julia and Evelyn as my guards. Meanwhile, Isabella left with Leo to continue their wedding. I spent a long night at Evelyn's apartment. They took turns bringing me food, but I didn't touch any of it. I refused to sleep. It would be better to just die like this. Death will be good. I leaned against the windowsill, gazing out with dead eyes. Evelyn finally noticed something was wrong. She gripped my hand, forcing me to meet her gaze. Ethan, look at me. Do you still recognize me? I just stared at her silently. A look of panic crossed Julia's face. What's wrong with him? It's like he's locked himself away in his own world. He's trying to destroy himself from the inside out. Evelyn's brow furrowed, and a flicker of genuine concern finally appeared in her eyes. This time, I think Ethan's depression might be real. The next morning, I was rushed to the hospital for a series of comprehensive tests. The final diagnosis was severe depressive disorder. I had been diagnosed with depression before, but back then it was smiling depression. I always put on a happy, optimistic face for everyone. Evelyn knew that. Yet because of Leo's lie, his claim that I had hired people to assault him, she had decided I was faking it all. Now I lay in a hospital bed, having gone 8 full hours without a sip of water or a bite of food. Julia tried to force-feed me some soup, but I just weakly spat it back out. She grabbed my jaw, furious. Ethan, let's just see how long you can last without eating or drinking. After Julia left, Evelyn came in, trying to coax me with the same gentle tone she used when we first met. But my heart was already dead inside. I didn't hear a word she said. Finally, she smashed a glass on the floor in frustration and gripped my arm tightly. Ethan, don't think you can scare us with this self-destructive behavior. Let me tell you, even if you die, no one will care. I grabbed her hand, my eyes filled with a desperate plea. Then just let me die. I just want to die. I want to escape from all of you. What did you just say? Just then, there was a gasp from the doorway, and Isabella burst in, furious. She stormed over to me. Ethan, I'm warning you. Don't you dare try to threaten us with your death. With that, she yanked me out of the bed and shoved me toward the window. Let's see if you have the guts today. Go on, jump from here. Jump. They all thought I was just making empty threats, that I wouldn't actually do something so stupid. But for me, in that moment, death had become the most tempting escape. I shoved her away with all my strength and stumbled onto the windowsill. But just as I was about to leap, she yanked me back inside. Seeing this, Evelyn rushed forward and slapped Isabella across the face. Ethan is really sick. How could you provoke him like that at a time like this? Isabella's eyes widened in disbelief. How is that possible? It was hard for her to accept. After all, when I was trying to win her over, I had been like a ray of sunshine, doing everything I could each day just to see her smile. Back then, she was suffering from kidney failure, completely enveloped in despair. I was the one who stayed by her side through it all, running myself ragged searching for a kidney donor. But a suitable match was impossible to find. In the end, I used my system points to acquire a kidney that was a perfect match for her. It was actually my own kidney. The system just used an item to make it compatible with her body. Afterwards, I donated it to her without a second thought. I'll never forget the first thing she said to me after her successful surgery. Ethan, thank you. I promise I will never let you down. But reality proved that a woman's promises could be as light as a feather, easily blown away by the wind. Julia pulled me back onto the bed. Isabella looked at me, and a flicker of pain finally appeared in her eyes. How could you be depressed? I didn't answer, just turned my head to look out the window. I really didn't want to face any of them. My heart had long ago frozen solid from the years of daily torment. She moved closer again, placing a hand on my shoulder and forcing me to meet her eyes. Ethan, look at me. You have to be joking, right? Did you pay off the doctor to lie for you? To trick us? I found it completely absurd. They always had a reason to believe I was lying. I remember at first I used to try to explain myself, but the more I explained, the more convinced they became that I was lying. Now, I couldn't even be bothered to defend myself. Getting no response from me, Isabella left in a huff. Julia and Evelyn gave up on me soon after. It was for the best. I could finally be free. As night fell and the room was empty, I got up and picked up a fruit knife, ready to end everything. Just then, my mother burst into the room. She quickly snatched the knife from my hand, tears streaming down her face. Ethan, you can't leave your mother. Don't do anything stupid. Mom, what are you doing here? I noticed how much grayer her hair had become. I hadn't been home in so long. I felt terrible. Julia said you were sick and told me to come see you. Her voice was choked with sobs. It's a good thing I came. Otherwise, you really would have. Promise me you won't leave me. Okay. I couldn't bear to hurt her, so I nodded. Julia walked in a moment later. When she saw the knife on the floor, her expression turned grim. Ethan, are you really going to throw your life away over a woman? Can't you be more like me and Evelyn? We both like Leo, too, but he doesn't like us, and life has to go on. I didn't answer, just curled up in my mother's arms, savoring the momentary warmth. Worried something would happen, my mother stayed with me the entire night. Having her there made me feel much better, but I knew that in the end, I still had to leave this world. Early the next morning, I sent her out on an errand, saying I was craving my favorite breakfast from a diner across town. Then I quickly bolted the door and climbed onto the windowsill. 3 stories should be high enough. Just then, a passerby spotted me and shouted, "Someone's going to jump. Quick, call 911. At the same time, Julia and Evelyn were pounding on the door. Julia yelled, "Ethan, if you dare to die, I'll smash every single one of your precious action figures. I used to love those figures, always asking her to buy them for me and keeping them carefully displayed in my cabinet. But Julia didn't know that. Now my heart was dead. I had no attachment left to anything. Evelyn said, "Have you thought about what will happen to your mother if you die? Mom still has Julia. She'll take good care of her." I closed my eyes and jumped with a sickening thud. I felt a sharp, agonizing pain shoot through my entire body. It felt like every bone had shattered. My vision blurred as screams and chaos erupted around me. Isabella happened to be passing by. When she saw me, her face was a mask of horror as she sprinted toward me. Before this, I had thought dying would be easy. Now, I understood just how hard it was. I had jumped from the third floor, but instead of the death I craved, I was left with 2 broken legs and several fractured ribs. Julia was furious. She immediately contacted a psychiatric hospital, planning to have me committed. Evelyn agreed, believing I was beyond help. As for Isabella, she just looked at me with disappointment and said quietly, "Ethan, you've really lost it." They were the same as always, filled with nothing but disgust for me. No matter what happened, they never had a kind word for me. Tears streamed down my face, but I chose silence, unwilling to offer any defense. Just then, my mother rushed into the room. Seeing me like this, she cried so hard she nearly passed out. She asked me why I would do such a thing, and then, overcome with emotion, she fainted and was rushed to the emergency room. I was frantic and wanted to go see her, but Julia stopped me. In the days that followed, they took turns sitting by my bedside in silence, forcing me to eat. I couldn't fight back. I could only force myself to swallow to stay alive. As my body slowly healed, I realized my fate was sealed. I was going to be sent to a psychiatric hospital. Once I was in there, any thought of suicide would be an impossible dream. For the first time in days, I opened my mouth to speak. Lying in my hospital bed, I gripped Julia's hand and begged, "Julia, I'm not crazy. Please don't send me there." When she heard me, a complex expression flickered across her face. Maybe deep down, she still cared about me a little. After all, our familial bond had once reached 85%. I was filled with hope, thinking she might feel sorry for me and change her mind. But in the next moment, she said, "No one ever wants to admit they're sick. We're doing this for your own good." Her words were like a bucket of ice water, shocking me back to reality. In their eyes, I had already lost the ability to think for myself. I was just a patient who needed to be institutionalized. And so, I was imprisoned in a small room, barely 100 square feet. It was stark and empty, with nothing but a cold bed inside. Every day, aside from the nurse who brought my meals, other stone-faced nurses watched me in shifts. They just stood there silently, as if I were the only living thing in the room. I felt a despair so profound it threatened to break me. The desire to die grew like a weed, but I was trapped by the cruel reality of my situation. I tried to beg the system for help, for release, but all I got was a cold reply. "Host, I am sorry. I cannot directly intervene in matters of your life and death. That is up to you." Those words destroyed my last shred of hope. I lay in bed, and every little movement brought a nurse over to ask if I was okay. Their care was suffocating me. That night, Leo Vance appeared. He quietly dismissed the nurse and approached my bed, his eyes gleaming with triumph. "Feeling hopeless? You can't even die when you want to," he said, his voice filled with satisfaction. "You know, it was my idea to send you here. This is the only way to make sure you can never escape my control." He went on, as if admiring his own handiwork. I stared at him, my face blank. I'd seen this act too many times. I was numb to it, seeing my lack of reaction. His face darkened. He grabbed my throat, squeezing so hard I could barely breathe. "Do you have any idea how much I hate you?" he said through gritted teeth. "In our original world, you had everything and I had nothing. Now we meet again in this system, and I have to compete with you for the same targets. I will do anything to win." I froze. How did he know about the original world? Was he a player in this game too? As I was reeling from this, he saw the shock on my face and burst out laughing. "That's right. I'm a player too, with the same targets as you. In the original world, I was the one who hit you with my car. The system brought us both here to settle things between us once and for all. Now I'm just one step away from victory. As soon as Isabella tells me she loves me, I'll have won completely. I looked at him, and the image of the poor student I had helped back in the original world slowly formed in my mind. It was him. I thought my kindness would earn his gratitude. I never imagined this would be the result. I helped you. Why would you do this to me? I demanded. The smile vanished from his face, replaced by rage and resentment. I didn't need your help. That was just charity. We were equals. I didn't need your pity. I shook my head, trying to make him understand. I never looked down on you. In my eyes, everyone is unique and deserves respect. But he wasn't listening. He just laughed manically, cursing me to be trapped here forever, to suffer for all eternity. I looked at his twisted face and felt a deep sense of pity. He had succeeded. I was trapped in a hopeless situation with no escape. I was helpless, left to pace this tiny room day after day. 3 nights later, a woman appeared under the cover of darkness, taking advantage of a careless nurse. She slipped in through the window, freed me from my cage, and led me to her car. The car's headlights illuminated her face, and I finally recognized her. It was Chloe Davis, a classmate from college in this world, and another one of my failed targets. She had always avoided me and seemed close to Leo, which had led me to give up on her and focus on Isabella instead. Seeing her again now felt like a dream. Her eyes were as gentle as I remembered, the very reason I had chosen her as a target in the first place. "I'm sorry I'm late. I just heard what happened to you," she said, her voice full of apology. "No, I should be thanking you. I thought you'd given me a chance to finally end all of this." Afterwards, she took me to relive some of our old college memories. The laughter of the arcade, the quiet of the movie theater, the thrill of an escape room. Those moments were the only happiness I had felt in years. I secretly bought a bottle of poison, ready to say goodbye to everything. When I tried to say goodbye, she gripped my hand tightly, her eyes filled with tears. "I know what you're planning to do." Her understanding moved me deeply. To think there was someone in this world who understood me so well. I gently hugged her, and the familiar scent of cedar took me back in time. All these years, she had kept using the cologne I recommended to her. "Thank you, Chloe," I said from the bottom of my heart. In the final moments of my life, the person by my side was this woman I had barely known for a month. She took me on the Ferris wheel, and we looked up at the brilliant night sky, sharing secrets we had kept buried for years. She told me she had been alone all these years, quietly watching over me from a distance, which was how she found out about my situation so quickly. As I unscrewed the cap of the poison, I asked her, "So, does that mean you like me?" She froze, not answering directly. Instead, she said, "Wouldn't it be nice if there was a world where we were the main characters?" With a smile on my face, I drank the poison and collapsed into her arms. Her tears fell onto my cheek, and I could feel the sincerity of her emotions. I just didn't understand why she had avoided me back then. As my consciousness faded, the system's cold voice echoed in my mind. "Host, someone does not wish for you to depart. You cannot be released yet." My soul began to drift away, leaving behind an empty shell of a body. Who was it that so desperately wanted me to stay? As my consciousness returned, I saw that Chloe had already called my sister Julia to tell her I was dead. Julia rushed over to find Chloe cradling my body. My skin was ashen from malnutrition. My frame was gaunt, my collarbones and cheeks hollowed out. "How is this possible?" Julia's voice was filled with disbelief. She stumbled forward, reaching out to touch me, but pulling back before finally helplessly embracing my cooling body. She screamed at Chloe, "Tell me what happened." "He was supposed to be in the hospital." Chloe's eyes blazed with a mixture of grief and fury. She shot back without hesitation. "You have a nerve to ask. Do you have any idea what it was like for him in there? He lived like a prisoner with no privacy at all. He was watched even when he showered or went to the bathroom." I was stunned that Chloe knew so much about my situation. She had been watching over me all this time. Did that mean she had come to visit me, and I just never knew? Julia lost control, swinging a fist at Chloe. "I did it for his own good." "For his good? That's... You were torturing him." Chloe shot back, her own anger flaring. "That wasn't protection. It was cruel, sadistic torture. The two women exploded with rage, launching into a vicious fight, trading blows. Eventually, my body was brought back to my family's home. Julia knelt before my body, silent tears streaming down her face. My last suicide attempt had put my mother in the hospital. Now, seeing my dead body, she collapsed again and was rushed back to the emergency room. I was filled with guilt and helplessness. I didn't belong to this world. I could never stay with her. Just then, Evelyn arrived. She was always so calm and collected. But now, faced with my dead body, she crumpled to the floor, her hands trembling as she reached for my cold hand. Ethan, Ethan. She choked out my name, her voice thick with despair and regret. Don't go. Please open your eyes and look at me. Chloe saw this and rounded on Evelyn. Now that he's dead, you decide to care. Where were you before? Where were you when he needed you? You're all pathetic. Evelyn didn't argue. She just let her tears fall onto my body. A little later, Isabella arrived. At first, she thought it was just another one of my pranks, a smirk playing on her lips. But then she touched my lifeless hand, and the color drained from her face. She stumbled backward and fell to the floor. Chloe, enraged, lunged at Isabella. He's dead, and it's all because of Leo Vance that he ended up like this. Impossible. Isabella, Julia, and Evelyn all denied it in unison, but the doubt in their eyes betrayed them. Chloe let out a cold laugh and slammed her phone down on the table. The screen lit up, playing a video. In the video, Leo was giving orders to several women. Assault, Ethan. I'll give you $500,000 when it's done. The women's sickening smiles filled the screen, followed by footage of my horrific assault. I tried to remember, but all I could feel was endless humiliation and despair. The memory was a knife twisting in my heart over and over again. I had been the victim, but no one had believed me. A stranger had offered me a sliver of comfort. The video played on, and the horrific images made me clench my jaw, my eyes burning. I never imagined the truth would come out like this, and I never expected Chloe to fight so hard to clear my name. But Isabella lunged forward, trying to destroy the phone. Chloe's furious voice echoed through the room. Do you see now? This is the man you all worshipped. You believed every word he said, but you never believed that Ethan was innocent. He was the one who had Ethan assaulted. Chloe's voice was filled with rage and frustration. When Ethan came to you for help, what did you do? The room fell silent. Julia, Evelyn, and Isabella were all speechless. They remembered it all clearly. Leo twisting the truth, framing me, and how they had treated me. Julia had beaten me. Evelyn had abandoned me, and Isabella had cursed me. This is the truth, Chloe said, each word landing like a hammer blow. Every single one of you owes Ethan his life. With a thud, Julia fell to her knees in front of my body, her voice choked with sobs. I'm sorry. Your sister didn't know. I really didn't know. Oh, so now you remember you're his sister? Chloe sneered. Did you forget that you were the one who had him committed? Chloe's voice was laced with fury as her gaze swept over Evelyn and Isabella. And you, Evelyn, as his doctor, you should have understood him better than anyone. But you and Julia just decided he was crazy. And you, Isabella, Ethan was your rock during the hardest time of your life. He even gave you his kidney. But instead of being grateful, you turned around and married another man. Don't any of you have a conscience? Chloe's words were like a scalpel, dissecting their guilt and laying bare the debt they had owed me for over a decade. Finally, I saw it on their faces, a guilt and pain so profound they couldn't hide it. I didn't know how Chloe knew so many of my secrets, but I was incredibly grateful to her. She had not only given me my release, but she had also cleared my name after I was gone, allowing me to witness their regret. That day, none of the women who had played such a significant role in my life left my side. Each of them, in their own way, tried to atone for the pain they had caused me. Julia brought all my old action figures, asking which one was my favorite. Evelyn unrolled a painting we had made together, reminiscing about our time together. Isabella held my hand, tears in her eyes, begging me to forgive her and come back to her, and Chloe silently arranged my funeral. She didn't seem outwardly sad, but I knew she was in more pain than any of them. The deepest grief is often the quietest. Taking the opportunity, my spirit drifted to the hospital to see my mother, who had just stabilized. She was demanding to see me, but the doctors refused, saying her condition was too fragile. I drifted closer to her and whispered, "Mom, please take care of yourself. I'll be with you in the next life." I thought she couldn't hear me, but she looked in my direction, tears rolling down her cheeks, and whispered back, "I know, Ethan. You take care of yourself over there, too." The day of the funeral was bright and sunny, but nothing could dispel the gloom. Everyone was dressed in black, their faces grim. Julia clutched my arm, walking step by step toward my grave. "Ethan, I hope you're happy in the next life. Remember to eat well." Isabella and Evelyn followed close behind, staring silently at my photograph. Suddenly, I realized Chloe was gone. A pang of disappointment hit me. But just as the service was ending, she reappeared, dragging a bound and gagged Leo Vance with her. "Julia, are you ready?" Chloe's voice was low and steady. Julia nodded. Hidden beneath her coat was a homemade bomb. "Today, everyone who wronged my brother will pay the price." Chloe kicked Leo to the ground, her eyes filled with a terrifying resolve. "All of you could just die." She had planned this all for me, for my revenge. "Chloe, how could you be so foolish? Was it really worth it for me?" Leo struggled to get away, but it was too late. Chloe and Julia pulled the detonator cords at the same time. With a deafening boom, a fireball erupted, consuming everything. "No!" I screamed, but no one could hear me. Chloe was innocent. Why did she have to suffer for my sake? Congratulations, host. In the final moment of your life, you have achieved 100% affection from Isabella Rossi, Evelyn Reed, and Chloe Davis, as well as 100% familiar affection from Julia Miller. Your mission is complete. You will now be resurrected in your original world. The system's voice echoed in my head, but I felt no joy, only a vast, empty grief. When I opened my eyes again, I was lying in a hospital bed. A nurse quietly informed me that Leo Vance, the other person in the car crash, had not survived. Also, a girl named Chloe Davis survived as well. Just as the nurse finished speaking, I saw Chloe walk slowly into my room on crutches, a small smile on her face. "Ethan," she said, "this time we finally get to be the main characters in our own story." She came closer, her eyes shining. I pulled her into a tight hug, silent tears streaming down my face. In the days that followed, Chloe told me everything. It turned out we had gone to the same college, and she had been quietly watching me from afar the whole time. When she found out what Leo was planning, she decided to intervene. That day, she had tried to cut him off with her own car, but she couldn't prevent the crash. While she was in a coma, Chloe had also encountered the system. It told her that if she could make me fall in love with her, she could return to the real world. The system also told her about my mission to win over one of 4 targets to survive. And Chloe was shocked to discover she was one of them. Chloe was torn. She wanted me to choose her so we could both complete our missions, but she was afraid it would put me in even more danger from Leo. If I succeeded in winning her over, her mission would also be complete. So, she deliberately kept her distance, even pretending to be close to Leo just to lower the chances of me choosing her as a target. But when she saw me being framed by Leo and misunderstood by Julia, Evelyn, and Isabella, she couldn't stand by and do nothing anymore. She secretly gathered evidence while sending me anonymous messages of encouragement, hoping I would keep fighting. Finally, when I was at my lowest point, locked away in a hospital, Chloe risked everything to get me out. She knew I had no other options, that I would choose to end my life to escape that world. So, she begged the system to let me see the remorse of the people who had hurt me before I died. Amid the roar of the explosion, the system declared her victory. "Congratulations, host. Mission successful. You have obtained 100% affection from Ethan Miller. As Ethan has also completed his mission and holds 100% affection for you, you will both be returned to your original world." Hearing all this, I leaned in and kissed her. "Thank you," I said softly, "for choosing me both in that world and in this one. Chloe, I love you." I love you too, she whispered, holding me tight, our two hearts beating as one. We knew that as long as we had each other, we could face anything that came our way.